Welcome to World Class Speaking the Basics. As a reminder, there are 4 parts to this class. The first part is the internal process, and we'll spend a good amount of time on that. After that is the external process, and what to do with your body during the presentation. The third part is winning delivery. What are different ideas on how you can improve the way you deliver your presentations and the content that you include? And lastly, we'll close with proper preparation. Proper preparation makes for your best possible performance. Ready? Let's begin. When it comes to the internal process, one thing that you absolutely have to understand is, what is the origin of the fear and anxiety that you're feeling? Where does it come from? I want to share a few different ideas that I've encountered when I work with one-on-one clients. First is, you're scared of being embarrassed in front of a group. And this may stem from a presentation that you made at a much earlier time, perhaps in a schoolroom, where you flubbed and your fellow students laughed. That feeling may still be sitting with you, or you did much poorer than you really wanted to, and you felt really embarrassed about it internally. No one said anything, but you knew that it wasn't your best performance. And so you have it in your head that you're not a good presenter. There's also the concern that we will bore the audience, that our content just won't be up to snuff. And therefore, we feel anxious about giving a presentation. Thirdly, there's the idea that we're going to receive questions that we just can't answer. It's the fear of the unknown. What might happen in this presentation? Or what if something technical happens that I can't control? The projector goes out. My slides don't present properly. Again, that's the fear of the unknown. These are all origins of fear. How can we overcome these feelings? Well, let's start from the end and work back to the beginning. What if something technical goes wrong? Yes, it's absolutely possible that the technology might not work the way you expect. The way to think about that is to accept the inevitability of things going wrong. Once I turned that corner in my speaking, that I shouldn't seek perfection, I felt a whole lot better when perfection didn't happen. There were times when the projector didn't work, the microphone didn't work, the slides didn't play the way I expected them to. Sometimes I had the wrong order. Once you accept that these things might happen, you become less anxious. Your fear goes down. So accept that perfection is not the goal. 2, what if the audience is bored? Well, that's feedback, isn't it? The thing about presenting is that you will get feedback from the audience each and every time you present. And with that feedback, you work towards making yourself a better speaker and improving your content each and every time. So accept that a bored audience, an unhappy audience, an audience that doesn't give you the best feedback or scores is an audience giving you information that helps you to improve the next time. What about getting questions that you can't answer? You can do your utmost to try and prepare to answer all the different questions that could come. I recommend writing down the different types of questions that could come during your presentation or afterwards. Talk with other people about what types of questions that they have. Oftentimes by getting feedback from other people about your presentation, this is before the actual presentation, you'll get new ideas on questions that might come up. By going through this process, you'll feel better about Q&A. And what if a question does come that you can't answer? Well, remember what I told you about technology? You'll just have to accept the inevitability that you might get a question that you can't answer. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on during winning delivery. What if you gave a presentation early on, perhaps in your childhood, that didn't go well, you were laughed at, or you knew that you did poorly? Well, we have to understand that we have to set our past behind us and start moving forward. So let's move forward and think about some of the things that you can say to yourself to prepare yourself to move on from the past. What I like to have my clients to say is that I may not be the speaker that I want to be, but I'm improving with each and every time I present. That's a positive affirmation. Or something like this: I'm working diligently and applying proven techniques to be a better presenter. and I'm making progress. Positive affirmations like this replace the old memories, the old thoughts, with new thoughts that are positive and productive and constructive. So tell yourself positive affirmations. These are all aspects of the mental part of speaking, overcoming anxiety and nervousness. Now let's talk about actual physical methods that you can use to overcome nervousness and anxiety. Well, one of the things that I recommend is to get a little bit of exercise before a presentation. Actually spend a little time taking a walk, maybe doing some stretches, jog in place. When you do things like that, what it'll do is it'll release energy from your body. If I just jog in place right now, what it does is it starts to bring down my nervousness and help me to relax a little bit. Another thing that you can do is to go to a quiet place and take some deep breaths. Close your eyes and take some deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Another thing that you can do is meditate regularly. There are different apps that are available for mobile devices now that guide you through daily meditation. When you use daily meditation, you have more control over your body and your thoughts, and you're able to calm yourself down. So think about that. Another physical technique is to put a cold towel over your eyes, and that will just relax you and bring down your body temperature a little bit. A last tip is to phone a friend before a presentation. That takes your mind off the presentation. Put your thoughts onto someone else and just have a natural conversation with someone else. That will help you to relax as well. These are different physical things that you can do before a presentation. Now, we talked about positive affirmation as a mental thing that you can do. Here's another mental thing that you can do. Write down what you want to happen out of the presentation. What's the positive outcome that you're looking for? When you put your eyes on the goal, the positive outcome, it gives you a target to shoot for and aims you in the right direction to get out of the presentation what you'd like. Do that each day leading up to the presentation, say 7 to 10 days beforehand. Pair that along with the affirmations and another technique, which is visualization. Visualization is used by professional athletes regularly. They close their eyes and imagine the athletic event that they're going to participate in and succeed in. Imagine yourself going out on stage, shoulders up and back, feeling good, smiling, looking out at the audience and having the audience beam towards you with their approval, moving gracefully across the stage, accepting questions naturally and giving answers that you feel good about, and then closing the presentation the way you planned. Do this visualization technique and you'll feel better. These are all methods that you can use physically and mentally to prepare to give your best presentation. All right, now we're still on the internal process. And in this section, I want to explain to you how to understand the audience properly, because this is part of the internal process. If you don't understand the audience, what might happen is that you focus on just a small part of the audience, and that's what makes you nervous and anxious. What do I mean by that? All right, when you think of an audience, think of it as being in 3 distinct parts. One part is the critical. These are the people that are never happy. The room is too cold. The seats are too close together. They can't hear. They don't even like the food that's being served. They don't like the outfit that you're wearing. They don't like your voice. These people are critical for a living. They go through this process throughout their daily lives. They don't like the restaurants they go to. They're unhappy with their job. The weekend never lasts too long. Are you getting the idea that these people are not the focus of your presentation? Do you think you can turn these people around during your presentation? Chances are you can't. I'm not saying that you're not speaking to the critical. You are. They're a part of the audience. But when you focus on them, that's what makes you nervous and anxious. and they are the smallest part of your audience. The second part of your audience, the disinterested. These are the people that are glued to their phones during the presentation, or they're gazing out the window, or they're thinking about what they'd like to have for dinner that night, or where they'd like to go on their next vacation. They're just not interested. And it's not you that they're not interested in. They're just not interested in being there at that time. They're probably having to be there through force. Or they're there for a full conference and you're part of it and they find themselves in that session. Should you be focused on the disinterested? Well, yes and no. Sometimes you can engage the disinterested and draw them into your presentation. Other times you can't. But they're also a small part of the audience and don't require a ton of your focus, especially if thinking about the disinterested makes you think that you're not doing a good job as a presenter, because they're looking out the window because that's where they want to look. What I want you to focus on is the largest part of the audience, and that is the supportive and encouraging. This group is probably where you would put yourself if you were watching a presenter. You're there because you want to learn something. You're there because you are interested. You want to be entertained. This is why most of the people are in your audience, and they're encouraging of you as the speaker. Believe me, most people in your audience, if they were in your shoes, they'd be feeling a little bit nervous too, but that doesn't bother them because they're not there to pay attention to how nervous you are or how anxious you are. Therefore, if you focus on the quality of your content, you will meet this audience where they want you to meet them. Inform them, educate them, work on your delivery and the content of your presentation, and you'll give greater presentations each and every time you go out there. Does it ever get better? Well, I have good news and bad news. The good news is it does get better, and that is because you get better. With each presentation you give, you get a little bit better and a little bit better. That doesn't mean that you're never going to go out there and flop. It's possible that you're going to go out there one time and not give the presentation that you visualized, that you affirmed, that you wrote down. You could give a presentation that you feel is a setback. That doesn't mean you're not getting better. It means that you are growing as a speaker. Even I don't always give the presentation that I want to give, and I've been doing this for a very long time. So the good news is it does get better, but it gets better with practice. You must go out and keep presenting. Take every opportunity that you have to present. Follow the preparation technique that I'll share with you later in the class. So I did say that there was bad news. What's the bad news? Well, here it is. You will always feel some level of nervousness and anxiety. Don't be shocked. This is because you're a professional. Once you dedicate yourself to improving in a chosen field, you should always get amped up and pumped up in order to go out and give your best. You should be concerned if you're not nervous at all. There's no adrenaline running in your body. Adrenaline helps you to give a better performance. The key is to channel that nervous energy towards being more animated, being more lively, raising your voice, improving your voice quality, and giving your best. There are performers who have been in the field of entertainment for decades, and they still get nervous when they present because they respect their audience. They know that their audience has taken time and, in most cases, spent lots of money to be there, to see them at their best. Shouldn't that make them nervous and excited? So that's why I say it's bad news if you're looking to fully get over nervousness and anxiety, but it's actually good news because you will use that energy in a positive fashion. You'll start to look at it differently. Nervousness is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And so let me close by helping you to really think about making that shift, because unless you can make that shift, you're going to have a hard time overcoming nervousness and anxiety. But how about a bonus tip? The bonus tip is this. When I stopped focusing on myself and started focusing on the audience, I instantly became less nervous. Why is that? Because we're too self-absorbed when we're nervous and anxious. We're just thinking all about ourselves. Instead, think like the professional and think about the audience. What do they want? Why have they come here? What is the outcome that they're seeking? Am I meeting that outcome? When you start thinking this way, you make that shift and you turn the corner, and then nervousness just becomes part of the ball game and the energy that you need to give your best. Now I've shared with you the internal process. It's a very important part of presenting, the mental game. Shared with you ideas on overcoming nervousness and anxiety, physical and mental. Follow these ideas. Think about making that shift, and you will start to see your nervousness and anxiety dissipate. Let's transition now to the external process, because once you have the inner game down, you need to start working on the external game.